Conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what is going on? We are here to analyze and discuss Houston's 87-84 victory tonight over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, this was a huge comeback for the Rockets. Beardsanity, James Harden was definitely there tonight. He really led the way, and with the victory, Houston improves to 16-12 on the season. They have won 5 straight games, and they have won 7 of their last 8 games. James Harden had 30 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists. He was critical in this game, particularly down the stretch. He was by far the best Rockets player tonight. Chandler Parsons had 12 points and 6 boards. It didn't look like Chandler was going to play tonight because he hurt his knee in the game yesterday on Christmas against the Bulls, and he said after the game that it swelled up. And I know one of our commenters, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, or I'd give you credit right now, kind of told us about the injury, and then they gave us an update today that Chandler was going to play. Chandler was very important in this game, and it's great for Houston that he could play. Carlos Delfino had 11 points off the bench. Jeremy didn't have a great game. We'll talk about that in a second, but he was key down the stretch. And that's, again, his reputation is that he's good when it's crunch time. Minnesota took control of this game in the second quarter. It looked like Houston might fold up in this game a couple times. This was a back-to-back. Minnesota was rested. They were ready. Houston was tired, and they were traveling after Christmas. I don't think Houston would have won this game 3 weeks ago. This was a very important win for them. Minnesota just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in Minnesota, and that was without Kevin Love. So Minnesota, not only are they a good team, they're really, really good at home. This was an enormous victory, enormous for Houston. Not only did they win on the road against a good team at home, they won against a playoff rival, and they did it in a way, in a comeback that they just wouldn't have been able to do earlier in this year. This is a massive step for this team. This was a team victory, and the team is getting mentally tougher. I give credit to James Harden and the veterans on the team like Carlos Delfino. Okay, let's turn to Jeremy. Jeremy had 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. Actually, I think he had 1 rebound and 3 assists. I might have that wrong. I'm sorry. He played 27 minutes. He shot 3 of 9 from the field. He was 0 of 2 from three-point land, made both of his free throw attempts, and he had 7 turnovers. His efficiency number for the game was 0, which obviously isn't that good. Remember, that's all the positive stats subtracted by all the negative stats. Jeremy was tired in this game. That's what he looked like to me. He was tired. He was a little bit off of his game, but this is the first bad game he's had in 5 games. So he had 4 straight games of Linsanity 2.0, and it's going to happen. We've talked before about he's going to still have bad games, and I'll get more to that in a second. This was also a bad matchup for Jeremy against Minnesota's guards, particularly J.J. Barea. The reason why is he's much bigger than J.J. Barea, and therefore it's harder to guard these little guards. J.J. Barea is probably 5'8", 5'9". I don't know how much he weighs, but he doesn't weigh a lot. Those are the kind of guards that Jeremy's going to have trouble with. Jeremy is big. He's 6'3", legitimately, or very close to it, and he's 200 pounds. I mean, 200 is pretty big for a 6'3" guy. And, I mean, you'll see guys in the league that are 6'6", 6'7", and are like 210. So it's not easy for Jeremy to move quickly on defense against some of these smaller guards. And that's sometimes when he struggles. On the other hand, it gives him an advantage on offense because he's bigger and stronger than these guys. And like with Nate Robinson yesterday, he can post them up. So there's a give and a take there. But it's kind of tough against Minnesota's guards, particularly J.J. Barea. And Minnesota used that, and I give them credit. They should have. Now, I told you guys the other day that there are going to be a couple instances when Jeremy was going to struggle this year, even though he's over the hump. He's past all the nonsense, and he's not any good and all that. And, we're in the Linsanity 2.0 now for the last 4 games and going back to the San Antonio game before that. But there will be nights when he still struggles. When I said that the other day in the video, I gave 3 reasons. Those reasons were, or instances when he will struggle. Number 1 is when the opponent has a really good shot blocker, like Dwight Howard, because that means Jeremy's not going to get easy layups, and he needs that for his point production. So that's one instance. The second instance is when he can't get easy buckets in transition. Jeremy gets a lot of his offense in fast breaks, and so when he's not able to do that, he's going to struggle. The third instance is when his shot is off, when he's just not hitting shots. He had some of that tonight, and that's the third circumstance when he'll struggle. Now, I want to add a fourth circumstance, and that is when he's tired. Tonight, he was tired. He just was off. I don't know if it was mentally tired, physically tired, or both. You know, it was Christmas yesterday, maybe talking to the family, whatever. But he was tired tonight. His mind wasn't fully engaged tonight. So that's the fourth circumstance where he will still struggle. And as I told you guys the other day, there's going to be games like this. There's going to be games like this. There's going to be fewer games like this than before, as long as he stays healthy. But you will still have games like this. And I really don't have any problem that Kevin McHale played Tony Douglas about the same number of minutes as he did Jeremy. That's going to happen. Jeremy's a young player. He's going to have nights like this. We've talked about Steve Nash, how Steve Nash wasn't Steve Nash until 5 years or more into the league. It's okay. It's okay. That's the development of a young player. Young players tend to have less consistency than veteran players. And they have more mental letdowns than more established players. And I mean, there are exceptions like James Harden. James Harden is younger than Jeremy, but he came through tonight. But James Harden is a proven player. James Harden went to the finals last year. Jeremy's not at that level. Again, Jeremy was on the couch last year and not sure if he was going to be in the NBA. You know, that's a completely different circumstance than James Harden. So a lot of it's mental, and Jeremy will get there. But where he's at right now, you're going to get games like this, and that's not a problem. That's not a big deal. The most important thing about this game was that Houston won, and I've told you guys that before. Even if Jeremy doesn't do well, if the team wins, that makes Jeremy look good. That's the way it works. It's like Mark Madsen for the Lakers, or I can't remember his name, Madison, where, you know, he got to be a champion even though he didn't do anything. I mean, it's when the team wins, Jeremy looks good. That's the easiest way to say it, even when he doesn't play that well like tonight. So the most important thing is that the team won. Now, as I said before, Jeremy was Mr. Clutch again in this game. He didn't have a good game, but he came back into the game with about 6 minutes left in the game. He immediately or very quickly drew a charge on Jose Barea. Jeremy took an elbow to his face, which is obviously doesn't feel too good, but that was an important play. He did that very open, very quickly. Then you saw he drilled that open two-pointer. It looked like a three-pointer, but I think Jeremy stepped on the line. That was a huge shot. That was when the game was going back and forth. Houston was a little bit on the ropes, and Jeremy hit that shot. No fear, no thinking, no, I can't hit open three. He just drilled it. We've seen this before last year. We've seen it this year. That's great. That's one of the things we love about Jeremy. He is a clutch time performer. Then he drove into the lane later in the game, and he had that perfect pass to Carlos Delfino. And Carlos just missed a shot. And, you know, Jeremy, of course, had some more blown assists in this game, but every guard has that. I mean, that happens. But that was a great play. Drove right into the lane, drew two guys, kicked it out to Carlos. Actually, Minnesota recovered pretty well to contest Carlos's shot, but Carlos had a good look. He just missed the shot. Then, in the last minute of the game, he forced that turnover on Jose Barea. That was a great play. He just got up into him, got his chest on him. You know, Jose drove into the lane and just lost control. And that turnover led right to James Harden's final basket, which sealed the game. So he came through when he had to come through. I give credit to the rest of the team for picking him up when he wasn't playing that well. And that's what teammates do, and that's what a good team does. That's why you have bench players. Sometimes you're just not going to play that well, and so your bench or other guys have to get it done, and that's what they did tonight. And when they did that, Jeremy finished the deal, and that's key. Now, the team is still adjusting to how Jeremy passes, and this particular Omer Asik. I said this in the game yesterday, that Carlos Delfino was getting the ball to Omer in good spots. Jeremy is such a good passer that sometimes his passes take people by surprise. Like, they're not used to catching those kinds of passes. They're not looking for them. If you've ever played with somebody that's a really good passer, so good, sometimes like you'll get hit in the face or something because you're not expecting the pass. And I've played with guys like that. And you have to get used to it. And Jeremy's like that. Omer is not the most agile guy in the world. He's a little bit slow with his reflexes, although he's a great athlete for his size. He moves well. He's not used to catching those passes yet. And so sometimes Jeremy's getting turnovers and blown assists that aren't really his fault. But the team needs more time with him to learn how to catch and look for his passes. So I actually think Jeremy played better than his statistics would say tonight. He had some of the blown assists. He had a couple kind of turnovers that weren't completely his fault. But it was a tough game for him. Obviously, it's a lot tougher than the last 4 games when he was averaging like 19 points on, 50, 60% shooting. But that's all right. Again, the team won. Jeremy performed well down the stretch, and that's the key. Okay, the summary here is enormous win for Houston. Any team that's going to be a serious playoff team and look to make the playoffs needs to be tough on the road. They need to build up a toughness and be able to win games like this on the road. This was an important game. Houston's schedule is going to get tougher in January, a lot tougher. More road games, just much more difficult. They can build on this win. This is the type of win against a good home team on the road that can bring a team together. It's very important. Again, Jeremy came through when he needed to, even though he didn't play well. We also learned today that for this year, the surgeon does not work the day after Christmas. That's just a joke, but, Jeremy's the surgeon, and today was a tough day. That's just them having fun with that. Another really good thing is that Jeremy, he was able to come back late in this game and do well, even though he didn't play well. And that's a really important skill, and it's a learned skill. If you notice guys like Kobe and some of the other stars in the league, they can have bad games, but then they do well at the end. And what that is, it's a mental process of just saying, doesn't matter what I did. You have to forget that you didn't do well earlier in the game. And it's a skill. It's like a cornerback in the American football game, the National Football League. You can get burned and burned and burned, but if you make the play at the end of the game, that's all that matters. You have to forget. You have to have a short memory, they say. Jeremy tonight had a short memory. When he had that open jump shot, he drilled it. When he was there to get the turnovers on Barea, he did that. So that's something that any high-level performer in anything, not just sports, you need to be able to develop that skill. And Jeremy showed that tonight, and that's a very important step. That's a very important step. Houston is legitimate. They are now the number 6 seed in the West if the playoffs started today. And there are 4 teams in the West that are extremely good. Memphis, Clippers, Oklahoma City, San Antonio. The number 5 seed right now is Golden State, who I think is pretty good. They're quite good. Houston's right behind those teams. Nobody else is ahead of them. And if they keep playing like this, they can secure that spot in number 6, and they might even be able to move up on the Warriors. Who knows? So I'm incredibly impressed with this team. They're improving rapidly. Obviously, tonight broke the string of scoring 120 or more points, but they showed they can win in this type of style too. They can win in a grinded-out defensive game or a poor shooting game and not just a run-you, track-meet type of a game. That's really good. That's really good. This team is ahead of schedule. They are doing better than people thought they were going to do right now. It is happening quicker. And I'm very happy. This was a great win. Okay, give us your comments below. Thumbs up, thumbs down on this video. We'll include information in the video description below the video player too. Video highlights, box score, game stories, etc. Also have a link so you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group. We'd love to have you come and join us there. We have over 2,000 members and counting. I am Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. I hope everybody had an excellent Christmas that celebrates Christmas, and everybody else is having a good holidays season that celebrates other holidays that occur in this period of time. We will talk to you guys soon, and another great win for Jeremy and the Rockets.